I need you to be like me. I need you to believe in what I believe in, eat like I do, dress like I do, think and talk like I do. I need an overwhelming wave of sameness to drown us in these mirrored scenes and erase the lines that create you and me. I need us all to be boring, to be ignoring the differences that make us unique and instead fall in line, seek Heil to the same god of hate, war, buying, selling. Now lie prostrate and deny your own mind, sink your soul into an abyss of the unknown and leave it there. There is nothing but curiosity in there, and we don't like that up here. So don't question or entertain the idea of being humane or humanist lame. Think of God and country, job security that clearly only lies in sucking the lies that we feed you through twisted shit tubes. This is your life. Do as you're told, from born, middle, old. Live quietly and die ever more so. Don't raise your hand to ask a question or make a fist. Be sure to remember this. We own you. We own everything. We are the gods that created you in our image, created what you think, what you feel, what you consume, who and what you want and need. You are me. You are free to be all that you can be, as long as you agree that freedom always tastes better when you're on your knees. And if this makes you want to yell at me, scream fuck you and seize this day, this change, and my throat and squeeze, you're in the right place. From tweets to marching in the streets, this is Act Out. Welcome to Act Out. I'm Eleanor Goldfield, it's cold, and this is your tipping point. James Larkin, Irish trade union leader and social activist, once said, "The great appear great because we are on our knees. Let us rise." And as spring rises, we the people are too. Dissent is blossoming, the fight for justice, freedom, and humanity is in full swing, not least of all here in the thick of measured menace, DC. So let's jump right onto the front lines of the latest in activist events and what's coming up that you can tap into to rise from your knees, raise your fist, and join the fight. Last Monday, activists from over 30 states gathered at the Chamber of Commerce in the U.S. Trade Rep's office in D.C. to say no to TPP and Fast Track authority. Hundreds of students, workers, teachers, immigrants, and small business owners took to the streets to protest this democracy-dismantling trade deal and the Fast Track bill that would give presidents for the next 7 years a literal fast track to zip ludicrous trade deals like this one through Congress, allowing for nothing but an up-down vote. Protesters chanted and shouted for justice, jobs, for living wages. Young activists stood within earshot of the White House calling for a future free from corporate rule. Fists and signs raised up. People before profit. Don't trade our future. Speakers rallied the crowd with straightforward talk and inspiration that surely would have made James Larkin jacked up and proud. Really, would have gotten anyone with a pulse who isn't a corporate shill jacked up and proud. Senator Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, is the only senator I've ever seen who actually marches with the people he's charged with governing, spoke to the crowd outside the U.S. Trade Rep's office, saying that the TPP is another corporate-backed agreement that is the latest in a series of failed trade policies which have cost us millions of decent-paying jobs, pushed down wages for American workers, and led to the decline of our middle class. The TPP must be defeated. Also present was a 15-foot-tall Trojan horse, representing all the weapon-wielding corporate ass-kissers hiding behind this gift of free trade. Then, last Tuesday, Justice League New York City arrived in the Capitol after a 9-day march from New York City, a day before 3 bills known as the Justice Package were introduced in Congress. In short, these bills seek to stop racial profiling, stop the militarization of our police, and provide investment in and guidance for youth and communities. Signs peppered the rally. Names of black men gunned down or killed by cops, Black Lives Matter, end police brutality, take on hate, and of course the mantra of the march, march to justice. Members of Congress and local activists rallied the crowd with speeches and chants that filled the Hill, under a sky filled with darkening clouds. Again, anyone with a pulse would have been hard-pressed not to feel the urge to raise a fist and join the fight. About halfway through the rally, I got the chance to speak to one of the marchers, Sally Rumble, about her experience marching, why she marched, and why this issue is everyone's issue. Take a look. Sally, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm curious, tell us a little bit about the march and why you joined in.
Sure. So the March to Justice is organized by the Justice League, New York Justice League. We are presenting Congress with 3 federal bills tomorrow: the End Racial Profiling Act, the Stop the Militarization of Law Enforcement Act, and the Youth Promise Act, which is basically an investment in youth, like trying to encourage Congress to invest in youth again. And think of alternative ways alternative to incarceration, invest in communities, prevent kids who are born into underserved communities from having to resort to gangs to find family and mentors. Yeah, a lot of work to do. I joined because this is the work that matters for me. I've been involved in this space for a few years now, probably from the Trayvon Martin case. That's when it really amped up for me. There was a lot of activism going on in New York City, and I was joining a lot of marches back then and protests. And then I kind of learned of this group through social media, the power of social media, particularly with the Eric Garner case. And I was involved in the royal shutdown and days and days of protesting and shutting down bridges for Eric Garner. And so it was kind of a really easy choice for me to join this movement. I decided back in the winter that this was important work for me, and now it's over. I can't believe it.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to some rest now. But I'm curious, so that there have been so many protests and marches, and the Black Lives Matter movement has done an incredible job of messaging. Why specifically now, and why specifically this march from New York City to DC?
Yeah, I think that it's so important to continue the pressure on the government. I think that there's no shortage of police killings and brutality cases. We lost 3 lives on the march itself in different cities along the way. So that's just yet another indication of the work that that needs to be done, and that we're going to continue to put pressure on law enforcement, on the government, until change comes.
And how do you feel that people can become a part of this if they're not marching with you? How do you feel that people can tap into this and become part of this movement?
I mean, gosh, I think storytelling is huge. I think we need to not be afraid of having the difficult conversations, particularly when it comes to race. Um, I think there's a lot of fear surrounding this issue, and it's for me, it's not even a choice to stand up. But I think the more people that join the movement, and if you like what you see here, we welcome you. This is going to take far more than one march to get the work done. So sign up, join us.
And what would you say also to people who say, well, this is the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not involved with what I'm doing, say environmentalism, or even I'm not black, so it's not my issue. How would you comment on that connectivity?
Yeah, I think that I'm not black, so it's not my movement is a little bit of a cop out. It's kind of like similar to the feminist movement. I mean, we have to call it out because not enough people care. There's been a lot of kind of backlash at the All Lives Matter hashtag. I think that I see what's behind that. However, I think there's also danger in polarizing communities. I think that all lives matter. However, until it's common knowledge that Black Lives Matter, we have to continue to call it out. I'm a white woman. What am I doing here? I don't want to wait until it affects my community, to then do the work. So, as a human being, I think this is a human cause, and if you have a heart, you know, you do the work.
And how would you describe, briefly, how would you describe the experience of marching? You said you marched for 4 days. How would you describe that experience?
Wow. I guess I didn't really know what to expect, and it really was just pounding the pavement one foot after the other on asphalt, highway, Route 1, while traffic is going by. But the organization of this, community is so tight. We had 4 marshals that kept us safe. 4 men that were there, and they took their job so seriously, because it sounds really easy to just like walk in single file along the road, but believe me, it's not. um, in 80-degree heat, the first day I joined, it was 82 degrees, I think. Sweat's running down your face. You're just looking at the person in front of you's feet, and one misstep, and you're like kicking the heels of the person in front of you, or you're falling in a ditch, and it's as simple as that. So the singing and the chants helped a lot. Um, but it's so much harder than you would think.
Well, I can imagine. Do you have any chance that you could share with us real fast?
Gosh, so many. A lot of no justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it now? If we don't get it, shut it down. What else? Now I'm blanking, and I've been singing them for days. We march in for our sisters and our brothers. That was a good one. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So how did people react when you came into their towns or their cities, or they ran into you? How did people react to the T-shirts or the chants or the message?
It varied a lot. We got a lot of salutes from the Black community on the side of the road, from road workers, a lot of fist pumps. It was really cool. We did get some hostility from some white communities when we hit Maryland. We got a lot of like fingers and just yelling white power, which was really weird. There's a lot of hate out there. So, get a job, that was another one. But this is a nonviolent movement, and it's nothing but love, and so it's really hard to be angry at a group of peaceful marchers that are singing.
And of course, that reaction of the people who were yelling white power is obviously evidence that we need this sort of movement. You had mentioned earlier something about the organizers. Talk a little bit about the people that put this march on.
Yeah. So I think at the helm there are 3 women: Linda Sarsour, Tamika Mallory, and Carmen Perez. And they are phenomenal women. They're phenomenal organizers and leaders. They're young. They've been doing this work for 10, 15 years. Just when our spirits were low, when we were tired, when the blisters set in, when we faced, some danger, I guess, in Baltimore when we were outside the Western District Police Department protesting for Freddie Gray. Things kind of went awry there. The community turned on us, and Tamika was the first one to remind us why we're here and why we're all in this struggle together, and to not turn on each other, and that we're against the system, we're not against law enforcement. And to have that clarity in a really stressful, intense moment like that is absolutely beautiful to watch. I mean, it's a gift. And I just remember kind of turning to the person next to me and saying, "Thank God she's here," So, I'm just like, I'm taking notes. I want to learn from them.
And of course, the work that you do is creative activism as well. So you can, I'll be interested to see how Creative Mornings make something out of your experiences here.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot about community building and community maintenance, I think, during adversity. So I'm going to take that back to Creative Mornings, and we'll see what happens.
For more information on the Justice League, check out the site below, which will also be included in the site list at the end of the show. Moving on, Wednesday featured some customary ass-kissing and unbridled corporatism hosted by the Senate Finance Committee. Led by Orrin Hatch, the old crotchety, out-of-touch white guy who makes the teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off sound like a circus ringmaster, the Senate Finance Committee met to discuss the Fast Track bill, the fast-forward button for TPP that I mentioned, or really any other trade deal drawn up by the plump and sweaty corporate tentacles insidiously sliding into every facet of our lives, like a tapeworm wriggling through your skin and disgustingly digesting your internal organs. Getting the picture? Enjoy your sandwich. Although there was a single sign raised during the hearing, any other actions were cut short by an unexpected closed-door meeting which ultimately led to a recess of the vote until 4 p.m. What actually happened was that Bernie Sanders tried to stop the approval of Fast Track by refusing to give unanimous consent, allowing the Senate Finance Committee to meet and vote on the bill. But alas, the maniacal turtle Mitch McConnell thwarted Bernie's plans to save the land and shut down the Senate, pivoting around Sanders and allowing the committee to meet, which they did, and late Wednesday approved the Fast Track bill. So, with McConnell and more than a handful of other twisted titans of fuckery on the side of multinational corporations, the bill is expected to reach a full Senate vote in the next few weeks. And on top of that, last Thursday, the House Ways and Means Committee, as in never short on ways and means to fuck us all over, also approved the Fast Track bill. So, I know I sound like a broken fucking record with this thing, but holy shit, this is crazy important, and it's a crazy important time for a crazy twisted trade deal, so get involved. As always, this info that I'm giving you will be at the end of the episode, but first, there's more. Wednesday and pouring into Thursday, activists in Baltimore protested the death of Freddie Gray, yet another black man killed at the hands of cops. In this particularly horrific incident, Freddie was arrested for reasons that police still haven't yet to disclose, and was literally folded to the point where his spine was 80% severed. He lapsed into a coma, died, was resuscitated, stayed in a coma, underwent extensive surgery, and eventually died on Sunday, April 19th. Furthermore, the lead officer in his arrest had twice been accused of domestic violence, and the entire police department is currently in the midst of an investigation by the Department of Justice concerning years of excessive force and abuse by police officers. Now, you cannot be a thinking, coherent, logical fucking human being and hear about this department, this case, that case, that case, or that case, or even the racism encountered by the Justice League marchers and not feel that we need this movement. And not just we black people, because obviously I'm not black, but we the people. Fighting for justice does not require a color, sex, class, background, religion, or lack thereof. It requires humanity and giving a shit. An active awareness of the world around you and an interest in fixing it. It's a recognition that what matters most to you is connected to what matters most to me. The Black Lives Matter movement is the environmental movement, is the income inequality movement, and they are all indicative of a system that isn't broken but fixed, rigged by the 1% for their benefit, whereby everyone else, you, me, and the other 99% of America gets shafted. Everything from our freedom to the air we breathe is a commodity, for sale and going fast. When our government is no longer our government, but the concierge to the corrupted cunts of a crooked corporatocracy, every facet of our lives becomes an asset for the asses on high, a bargaining chip for backdoor deals and twisted steals from our present and our future. Really, in so many ways, the best way to fight the power is to strike at the root of this evil and get money out. And yes, there's a movement for that too. My personal favorite, in fact, for the fact that it's so all-encompassing, like the full-body workout of the activism world. You've heard me mention the push to get money out of politics before, and here's more from none other than Paul Revere.
Paul Revere has something to say. Let's listen to our founding patriot, Paul Revere.
Just as a small band of patriots was able to bring this country together and free us from colonial oppression in my day, so will this band of patriots unite with their countrymen and women to build a new electoral system where the voice of the people is heard every day at every campaign stop across the state. These peerless patriots are asking the question and sounding the alarm about the threat of moneyed interest to our democracy.
That's right.
Every day we are speaking to each other, not as Republicans, Democrats, or independents, but as citizens determined to be heard.
That's right.
We will not sit silently by. We believe in the principles that this great nation was founded on, that every person is equal, that there cannot be taxation without legitimate representation.
That's right.
And that government shall remain of, by, and for the people.
That was mid-April in New Hampshire during a GOP event where the organization New Hampshire Rebellion was struck from the list of sponsors for some reason. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with dark money funneling to the Republicans or just that they have an aversion to Revolutionary War-era costuming. Either way, this particular pull by the GOP backfired beautifully, as media wandered out to catch a glimpse of the protest after several tweets went out about this guy, Paul Revere, and friends congregating outside. Digital activism meet physical activism. And this is just the beginning. There's more planned in New Hampshire and many other states, including a big 4th of July march along the coast of New Hampshire to further raise awareness and get people rallied behind the question. The tagline, if you will, for the New Hampshire Rebellion and the 2016 presidential race. What specific reforms will you advance to end the corrupting influence of money in politics? There will be more to report from this camp in the future, but for now, let's round up this spring rising week of activism and take a look at what's happening next week. With regards to the first story that I mentioned, visit popularresistance.org and stopfasttrack.com to get plugged into the movement to stop TPP. For the Justice League and their parent organization Gathering for Justice, check out gatheringforjustice.org. For more on the Freddie Gray case, visit peoplespowerassemblies.org, and for the New Hampshire Rebellion, check out nhrebellion.org. In days and weeks to come, stay tuned on TPP because, as I mentioned, the next few weeks will be critical. Sign up to get directly connected to Congress via stopfasttrack.com, and between you and me, today might be a good day to check out what Popular Resistance is up to on the interwebs. Also on tap, Code Pink brings us some anti-war, anti-military industrial complex action this week in commemoration of the Vietnam peace movement. A strong reminder not just of why we need more peace movements, but also an inspiring reminder of the power of the people in effecting change. Fast forward to May 9th, and Mothers for Justice will be marching in D.C., Mother's Day weekend, standing up against brutality and racial injustice, and demonstrating their love and determination to protect our children and our country. In the Get Money Out camp, today is also a big day as the organization Move to Amend is introducing the We the People Amendment in Congress, a 28th amendment to clearly outline that corporations are not people with personhood rights and money does not equal free speech. I'll have more on that announcement later, considering that I may in fact be at the press conference while you're watching this. No rest for the wicked. Also, for the Get Money Out movement, keep an eye out on May Day for the May Day PAC, aka the People's PAC, aka using the system to beat the system. And speaking of May Day, starting May 1st, we will be airing on Free Speech TV every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The revolution will be televised. So now that the entire show has been a frontline segment, let me just throw this unusual quote of the day out there to wrap it all up. Activism is the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done and do. It's taken me to stages, both literal and figurative in life, raised me so I could raise my voice and my fist, connected me with people that revive my hope in humanity, challenge my mind, my soul, broaden my horizons, and reshape my paradigms. And it's a lot of fucking fun, too. This show is but a glimpse, a slice of the awesome, the creative, the grassroots badassery and national intensity. Kind of like having sex versus watching porn. The real thing is way more fantastic than what I could possibly show you in just a half hour a week. But it all hinges on the idea to give you an idea, to spark curiosity and to feel that you have the power to change the shitstorm into a beautiful day. So let me leave you with this quote, roughly remembered and acted from a slightly tipsy guy at an activist show that I played last year in LA. Shit, if people like regular people just did little things like going to this concert and then posting or calling someone, we could turn this shit around. Dude, I'm gonna post and call someone. And I like to think that he did. And that's our show for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. As per usual, check out the last slide to see all the sites that I mentioned in this week's episode, and there will also be a link to help support Occupy.com. We are a donation-run organization, tax-deductible 501c3, so anything you can contribute is hugely appreciated. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. From this beautifully decorated Devil's Den, good night and act out.